Joining me are two rising stars in the Democratic Party, Mallory McMorrow, a state senator in Michigan and author of a new book coming out this week called Hate Won't Win. Find your power and leave this place better than we found it. And Rebecca Cooke is a Democratic candidate for Congress for the 3rd District of Wisconsin. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being with us. Mallory, great to see you again. It's a lot of energy out there. We saw Bernie in AOC, but we've seen Ro Khanna going to a few districts in California. We've seen things in the Midwestern states. We've seen things in the upper Midwest. People coming out in numbers that are not typical of non-election cycles. What is it that you get that people are tapping into, both on the left and the right, that are getting these people to come out and come to these town hall meetings?
Allie, that's exactly right. And people are coming at all levels. I held a town hall with a state representative in a venue where we previously had about a dozen people come out. This was a store. It's not, a big venue. Yep. And we had more than 200 people come out who wanted to know what they can do. And what feels very different to me about this moment is how practical it is, how pragmatic people are. People want to know, how do I contact my member of Congress? What do I say? Do emails work? Should I phone them? Should I send a letter? Should I show up at their office? People really want to know how they can make a difference, and they're looking for more than just platitudes, more than just Democrats saying, we will fight for you. They want to know how they can participate, which is really exciting, and I think very different from what we saw in the wake of 2016.
Yeah, it's the how involves citizens, and I think they're realizing that. They're just showing up to these things. Rebecca, you had a situation where you lost your election by a very, very, very small margin. You decided you're running again. In fact, the other night you and I were talking and you mentioned your website, and I think it crashed for a few minutes after that. People started tweeting me to say they can't get in to get to your website. It was overloaded. People would like to hear from someone. If they're not hearing from their elected Republican members who are staying away, they're quite happy to hear from a Democrat. They want to hear from somebody who will say, I hear you, and we're going to do something to change this.
I think that's exactly right. And I think the energy that you're seeing, people are busy. They're working their 9-to-5 jobs. They're taking care of their kids. They're taking care of aging parents. So the fact that people are coming out in droves means that they're hungry. And it also means that they're hurting with some of these policies that we've seen come down from this administration, and they're looking for answers. And so, getting in this race early, I'm running in 2026, but I think it's important to hold this administration's worst instincts accountable and to hold Derek Van Orden's feet to the fire, who I'm running against and who has refused to hold any sort of town hall and actually address its constituents.
Mallory, one of the things we're seeing is a little bit of frustration, even when they are some Democratic town halls. They would like their Democratic representatives to have courage and I think the thing that the citizen is prepared to do is to say, we'll come out, we'll show up, we'll show up at your meeting at 10 times the rate we normally do, as you described. But they do, what do Democrats need to do differently? Because we are a year and a half away from an election in most places.
First of all, I think Democrats need to treat people with respect. It is no longer enough to have a press conference in Washington, stand behind a podium, say, we're fighting for you, and then text people your headshot and ask for $5. That is deeply frustrating for most people. People want you to level with them. Tell them what the problem is, who is in the way, what you are going to do about it as an elected official, and what they can do about it with you. And when you work together as a team, that energy is there. People are raising their hand and they're saying, I'm ready. Bring me in, coach. I'm ready to fight. But they want to know you're in the fight, too.
Rebecca, I want to play a clip from you from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from the rally on Friday. I think you'll relate to it. Let's listen and talk on the other side.
I don't believe in health care, labor, and human dignity because I'm an extremist or a Marxist. I believe it because I was a waitress.
You can relate to this.
I can relate to this. I'm a working class candidate. I grew up working class, and I'm waitressing while I'm running for Congress 7 days a week. I'm actually also in an Airbnb that I'm about to clean after this before I go to a rally in my hometown with postal workers. And I think that we to your point about Democrats, what do we need to do better? What do we need to be working on? I think there's a lot of national leaders coming to districts, but I think the change really needs to come from the inside out. And there's a lot of work that we can do in recruiting more working class people to step up to run for office, whether that's school board or whether that's United States Congress. And so I think that's something that we have to be focused on, is how do we elevate those voices that have the pulse on what the needs are within their communities and can storytell and talk to those issues in a way that's really authentic and relevant. And then I think is going to expand our big Democratic tent.
Yeah, and not hard to do these days, because the Trump administration is saying such things on a daily basis that are so out of touch that this isn't going to take a great deal of work to sit there and say, hey, I actually understand what you're feeling. I understand how inflation affects you. I understand how wages affect you. Thank you to both of you. Rebecca, great to see you again. Thank you for being with us. Judging from the other night, I think a lot of people do relate to your particular experience. State